Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Great to see you all. Aprame, are you running the Shastra?
Maharaj, I'm running the Zoom today.
Can you put up Parama Karuna?
All right.
Nitai Surira Vishvasakori Akara Karama Punjaya Shamana Parama Karuna Pahundvi Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra Parama Karuna Pahundvi Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra Sabhavata Sarashinamani Kevalaya Nandakanda Sabhavata
The recording has stopped.
Sarashinamani Kevalaya Bhagavad-gita Chaitanya Nitai Surida Vishvasakori Bhagavad-gita Chaitanya Nitai Surida Vishvasakori Vishaya Chajiya Shera Se Majya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari
Vishaya Chajiya Shera Se Majya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari
Vishaya Chajiya Shera Se Majya Mukhe Bolo Hari Take all a
This meeting is being recorded.
Pashupaki Jure Pashana Vidare Shunijara Punakata
Pashupaki jure pasana vidare
Samsaramajiya Lohile Purya Shepade Nahilo Asha
samsara madhya lohile purya sepade nahilo asha
Samsare Mujya Lohile Purya Shepade Nahilo Asha
samsara madhya lohile purya sepade nahilo asha
Apana Karama Munjaye Shamana Kae Lochana Dasa
apana karana jaya samana kare lakshana dasa
Apana Karama Banjaye Shamana Kae Lochana Dasa
apana karama jaya samana kare lakshana dasa
Lord Nitai and Lord Gaurachandra are very merciful. They are the essence of all incarnations. The specific significance of these incarnations is they introduced a process of chanting and dancing that is simply joyful. My dear brothers, I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. If one wants to be Krishna conscious by this process, one has to give up his engagement in sense gratification. Become absorbed in worshipping Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and simply chant Hare Krishna, Hare Hare without any material motive. My dear brothers, just try to examine this. Within the three worlds, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda. Their merciful qualities are so great that upon hearing them, even birds and beasts cry and stones melt. But I, Lochan Das, regret that I am entrapped by sense gratification. I have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, and therefore Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, is punishing me by not allowing me to be attracted by this movement. Koe o Lochana Da Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo
Hari Bo Hari Bo
Nitai Gaura Premanande Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve. Everybody, Gauravani Prachare Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Veshatare Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Sadhusanga 2. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare.
Go Premanande, Haribo, Haribo. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go pray, Melody, Haribo, Haribo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sadhu, sing it, Sadhu. Haribo. Closer to the mic. Oh, pray, Manande. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Srivatsa, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Everybody in Mysore chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki.
Jai.
Shri Harinam Mahamantra ki.
Jai.
Shri Harinam Prabhu ki.
Jai.
Gaura Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Bhajare, hey, Bhaja Govinda Gopala Hare.
Bhajare,
hey,
Govinda Gopala
Bhajare, hey, Bhaja Govinda Gopala Hare. Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Gopala,
Radhe Gopala,
Radhe Gopala,
Radhe Gopala,
Bhajare, hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Can't hear you. Bhajare, hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Come on. Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Govinda,
Radhe Gopala,
Radhe Gopala,
Kishore Kishori
Kishore Kishori,
Radha
Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Kavi Chandri,
Radha Ramana Radha
Radha Gopinath,
Radha Gopinatha,
Radha Kunja Bihari
Radha Kunja Vihari,
Radha Muridhara Radha Muridhara Gandharvika Giridhari Gandharvika Giridhari
Radha Ramana,
Radha Ramana
Radha Kanta,
Radha Kanta
Radha Sham Sundar,
Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Radha Kalachandji Radha
Bhajare, hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Aishe Shri Bhagavan ko mere barambar pranam hai.
Aise Shri Bhagavan ko mere baar-baar pranam hai.
Aishe Shri Jnana Shyam ko mere barambar pranam hai.
Aise Shri Jnana Shyam ko mere
barambar pranam hai. Go Premanande! Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dinabandho Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Krupatrubhyascha Kripasindobhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nitai namine che namirhate shadam yinam dite che reitai namine che namirhate shadam yinam dite nitai namine che namirhate shadam yinam dite che reitai Namir hate sharam ninam dite chere. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Now we're going to Bhagavad-gita, chapter 13, text number 20, please. Bhagavad-gita, chapter 13, text number 20. Prakritim purusham chaiva vijnanadi ubhavapi vikaram cha gunam chaiva vidi prakriti sambhavan. Prakritim, material nature, purusham, the living entities, cha, also, eva, certainly. Vidi, you must know, anadi, without beginning, ubhau, both, api, also, vikaran, Transformations, cha, also, gunan, the three modes of nature. Cha, also, eva, certainly, viti, no, prakriti, material nature, sambhavan, produced of. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Purport: by the knowledge given in this chapter, one can understand the body, the field of activities, and the knower of the body, both the individual soul and the supersoul. The body is the field of activity and is composed of material nature. The individual soul that is embodied and enjoying the activities of the body is the Purusha, or the living entity. He is one knower, and the other is the supersoul. Of course, it is to be understood that both the supersoul and the individual entity are different manifestations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The living entity is in the category of his energy, and the supersoul is in the category of his personal expansion. Both material nature and the living entity are eternal. That is to say, that they existed before the creation. The material manifestation is from the energy of the Supreme Lord, and so also are the living entities. But the living entities are of the superior energy. Both the living entities and material nature existed before this cosmos was manifested. Material nature was absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahavishnu, and when it was required, it was manifested by the agency of the Mahatattva. Similarly, the living entities are also in him, and because they are conditioned, they are averse to serving the Supreme Lord. Thus, they are not allowed to enter into the spiritual sky. But with the coming forth of material nature, these living entities are again given a chance to act in the material world and prepare themselves to enter into the spiritual world. That is the mystery of this material creation. Actually, the living entity is originally the spiritual part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but due to his rebellious nature, he is conditioned within material nature. It really does not matter how these living entities or superior entities of the Supreme Lord have come in contact with material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead knows, however, how and why this actually took place. In the scriptures, the Lord says that those attracted by this material nature are undergoing a hard struggle for existence, but we should know it with certainty from the descriptions of these few verses that all transformations and influences of material nature by the three modes are also productions of material nature. All transformations and variety and respect to living entities are due to the body. As far as spirit is concerned, living entities are the same. So you could take a situation in which you felt very helpless. Sometimes people are apprehended and taken away against their will. They're arrested for a crime. We've seen this many times. People, they somehow or other transgress the law, and then the authorities find out and they come. Sometimes they come, unnecessarily, but let's just say it's necessary. Somebody transgressed the law. The person is taken into custody. And if you've ever seen how an arrest takes place, at least in America, I don't know if they do it the same in other places, they use these handcuffs. So they say, put your hands behind your back. So you put your hands behind your back, and then either they use some plastic thing that, clicks onto your hand, or metal. You can hear it ratchet up, and then your hands get, you can't move them. They're behind your back. So you're basically helpless. Of course, you could run, but it's really hard without your hands. And then they put you into the back of a car that has a screen between you and the driver. And it's an official car. It's going to take you to another place of their choice, not of yours. You don't get to choose. You're put in the car, and once you're in the back seat, the doors close, it's all locked. Of course, some foolish people try to get away, but they're always caught. We see it on high-speed chases at the very end of the cul-de-sac. After hours and hours and the tank of gas runs out, they finally get caught and they're apprehended. Then it's worse. They try to get away. In any case, once you're caught, you're caught. And then you're taken in and you have to go where they say. And they take you and they decide your fate. It's like, what did he do? Some judge, somebody on the scene says he does this, he did that. And then a judge says, okay, this is what you get. And then you have to do it. And there's no getting around it. Of course, in free countries, you can hire yourself a lawyer and try to fight it and whatever. But let's just say that you're sentenced for the transgression, and then you got, can I pick my cell? No, you don't get to pick your cell. We're picking it for you. Can I have a little extra this, that? No, you get what you get. That's all you get. We've decided, and basically you've decided by the way you acted, you put yourself in this situation, and now you're in there. And how long am I going to be in there for? For as long as the judge said, and that's it. Of course, you could get a little clemency if good behavior after a little while, maybe slightly reduced sentence. But even when you get out, they're going to watch you, and you're going to be on probation, and you got to check in. And if you do it again, then you go back in, and it's twice as bad because you broke the law twice. So Prabhupada in this purport talks about rebelliousness, the rebellious nature of a conditioned soul. It's like, I'll do something different. Supreme Lord has his plan, he has his whole setup, everything's going, and then I want to do something else. So this then is unlawful, go against the natural law. And then at the end of this lifetime, or even in this lifetime, we become restricted by material nature. People who do things that cause harm to themselves or others oftentimes develop a certain kind of disease, or they're limited in their movement in this world. But especially at the time of death, Krishna talks a lot about this in the Gita. That's a helpless situation because karmana daiva netrina jantur deho papate. When you leave this body and you say, okay, I'd like to have a very nice, let's say, I'd like to be born in Switzerland, and I'll be a man, and I'd like to be wealthy family, please. No, you already had your chance. Your chance was when you had some freedom, you came to consciousness, and then you decided by your activities. Now it's a higher authority takes over completely. There's the apprehension for those who have broken the law, and you're put in the waiting cell, and then they say, okay, here's your sentence. Here's the kind of body you get, and it's a kind of sentence. And some of them are really bad. You get a really horrible kind of body in your next life, like some kind of animals. They're conditioned to eat all kinds of things that we couldn't even live through for like 2 minutes. We couldn't live, but they're given a kind of body. It's like, okay, go ahead. Now this is your sentence. You have to eat all this stuff. So material nature is relentless. It's mechanical. And our freedom is so valuable. When we come to the human form of life, we have a modicum of freedom, and it comes through clear consciousness. And when we have an inkling that I have transgressed, and that there's an opportunity for me now to get myself on the right track, and then I feel protection from that, even in this lifetime when I'm following. And I start to feel the freedom even in this life. Raga dvesha vimuktaistu Vishayan indriyaish atma vasharavate atma prasadam arigachati. A person who voluntarily reforms him or herself in this lifetime, Krishna says, by following the regulative principles of freedom. You use your volition, you decide, I'm going to be a good boy, I'm going to be a good girl, I'm going to follow this. And then you start to see for yourself that the lower modes of nature the handcuffs start to come off. And you start to feel free. And this is the life of freedom, Krishna consciousness. Krishna says, prasadam arigachati. Then the grace of Krishna descends in your life and you become more and more free to actually just do more service. So it's a serious situation we're in. It's a serious situation. This human life that we're in now is a probationary period. Somehow or other, we've been given a little chance. We've been let out of the cage for a little while. And say, okay, what are you going to do now? Let's see. Will you check in with your probation officer? You get yourself a probation officer. Get yourself a spiritual master. And it's like a check-in regularly. Send your sadhana a card. Yeah, I'm following the thing. And it's like, and then, hey, what happened to him? He didn't send anything. Where you been? He's like, oh, nowhere. Nowhere. What does that mean? You know, we have to realize that we're in a probationary period here. And, you know, people who go out, they get a little giddy outside the prison and they start thinking like, maybe I'll stick it to the man again. You know, I'll go back to my life of crime. It's no big deal. Nobody's watching. But in the Bhagavatam, Kapila Dev said, no, you don't understand. Everything's being recorded. Have you ever been in a hot mic situation? You've seen him before, right? President, you know, someplace, and they leave the mic on. And he's like, you idiot. You know, he's talking to his aide, you know, and everyone's going, sir, excuse me, your mic's on. Well, our mic's on all the time. Don't think everything we're saying or doing or thinking isn't being recorded. For those who are virtuous, who feel this power that I want to become virtuous, that's good news, because I want to prove it. I want to prove it behind closed doors. I want to show that I mean it. And okay, put the hot mic on me. It's okay. I'm going to let it roll. And you know, if I mess up, I'll own up to it. But that's what I want. I want to be clear. I want to get clear in this life. Sorry, that's a Scientology thing. I want to come to pure consciousness, and that's the impetus of those who feel the pinch of material nature, and then they experience how grace is coming to them in the form of the devotees. They see the devotees and they think, oh, these people are free. They're heading for freedom. I want to go with them. And that they understand from the reading the Bhagavad-gita. It's so commonsensical. It's that voice of freedom that Krishna just says, I'm here. I'm gonna get you out of this. I mean, don't you like that when you're captured and there's no way out, it seems, and then somebody comes along who looks pretty powerful. And, you know, there's a lot of movies and novels like this. You know, the guy's just helpless. And then somebody comes along and like, who is that guy? It's like, who cares? He's getting you out of here. he just got you out of jail. He handed a little card to them, and on the card there was some scribbles, and they looked at it and they said, okay, let the prisoner out. And you're out. It's like, who is that guy? It's like, I don't know, but just go with him, you know, go. And when we get that Bhagavad-gita and we hear, yeah, I'm here. I'm going to get you out. You just have to follow me. Just follow me. I'm going to take you out of this prison. So we have to be careful that we remember that we're on probation. Prabhupada talks about how sometimes a little bird, you let it out of the cage, and then it's so conditioned, it just hops right back in the cage. And now I'm staying in here. And so go for the light. All the Shastras are saying, Tamasima, Jyotirgamai, don't stay in this prison. Get out. Go for the light. Fly away, little bird. and go back to your home. So Krishna's here laying it out for us exactly. It's so helpful to read this Bhagavad-gita, because here he's telling us in this verse about where we came from, and he shows the big map of where we are. Here's the kind of energy you are. You're superior energy. You belong to a better world. That's good news too. And you suddenly find out, hey, guess what? You don't belong here. This is not your place. You actually belong to a much better place. And yay! And then how each one of them, the material nature and the living entities, they're both eternal. It's just the material nature sometimes manifests, sometimes not manifests. And somehow or other, I got mixed up in it. Somehow or other, I'm mixed up in it. And so the good news is that you can get unmixed through the process of Krishna consciousness. You can feel it even in this life, that I'm getting unmixed from this idea that I'm the material body. And also the pinch of the modes of material nature starts to slacken, and I feel myself gradually getting free. Free mind, my heart becomes free. And I in this lifetime can become a resident of the spiritual world through the probationary period, all the way starting to work for the government. It's like, yeah, he's good, and then it's like, yeah, let's hire him, bring him back in. He's really good. And then, we can completely reform. So it's a good idea, Krishna consciousness. It's the only thing that makes any sense in this world. And we have to remember our nature. Let's see if some reflections or questions. I'm going to go to the board. Oh, yes. Okay, let's see. I'm going to do it the scientific way. I'm looking at the participants. And the first one is on the list is Sadhu Vrindavan.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. You were talking about how everything's being recorded even when nobody is around. And I was thinking of a story in which there's a guru, and he gives each of his disciples a mango, and then he asks the disciples to actually go and eat it where nobody can see you and nobody should know that you actually ate this mango. So they all go, and all of them eat the mango except for one who comes back with the mango. And the guru asked, "Why didn't you eat the mango? Why did you come back with it?" And the disciple says, "That's because I couldn't find a place where I wasn't being watched, because the Supreme Lord is always watching you." So yeah, I just really like the point how you said everything is being recorded, even when you don't think you're being seen.
Yeah, actually, in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10:14, find me the verse, please, Aprame, if you're the one running the Shastra. Yeah, it's mentioned there that the senses of the living entities, all our senses, they're like little microphones for the demigods. They can listen in to everything that's coming through our senses. Because we have this Adidaivika connection there. You'll see it. It's in the first third of the verses there. Okay, next is Sukeshwari.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu, Nandasrinath. I was wondering, Prabhu, when we were reading that the temporary material world, that's what we usually say, but it said that the material world and the spiritual world are both eternal. So my question is, when devotees go back to spiritual world, that means a new set of devotee will come down here. Is that what it means? Because I'm confused. If suppose there are devotees, like there's so many devotees now, they'll be going back to spiritual world. Then at least some percentage of the living entities in the material world would reduce. Then it says that they're always like I was just also remembering Vasudeva Datta's when he's talking to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that I want everybody to go back and I will take all the sins and let everybody go back. But then he says that's not possible, and that there will always be some living entities who are rebels.
No, he says it's possible, but the universe will fill back up again.
Sorry, Prabhu?
He said it's possible, and it will happen. But the living entity, but the universe will just fill right back up again. Yeah, if you try to measure the material world and these different concepts, I mean, our planet is so small. If you get up a little higher, you can't even find where it is. It's tiny. And then what to speak of kind of seeing the universe or understanding all the multitude of universes. And then about the living entities, they're asankhya, they're uncountable. Do you know what uncountable means? You can't measure it. And Shukadev, when he's asked about the material cosmos, by Parikshit Maharaj says, can you tell me something about the Lord's material nature? And he said, I'll tell you something, but it's actually unlimited. What can I say about it? And he starts to describe the various planetary systems and, look at just like the heavenly planets. There are mangoes as big as elephants. They fall off the tree. The juice runs out. The juice mixes with the rare soil and produces gems and things. And basically, he's going into the material nature and how it's practically, you can't comprehend even that, counting all these, variants here in the material world. And what about measuring this and that? So we understand that the living entities are asankhya. They're unlimited because the Lord's unlimited. We're his energies, and they're so to measure, like, okay, how many came in, how many came out? Let's give them a number, and then maybe we get an algorithm to see how many came in and how many came out. It's not so fruitful. Just think about like how you would answer that question first of all, and even if you were to answer the question, how would it help? To actually know. The main thing, as Prabhupada says here, look at his mood in this purport. It really doesn't matter how the living entities got involved in the material nature. What is the sentence? He says, Supreme Personality Godhead, he said, it really does not matter how these living entities or superior entities of the Lord have come in contact with material nature. That's a nice sentence you could put in your pocket, tattoo it on your arm, and just like, and it goes to this mood of like a good luck measuring it, how many came in, how many came out.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's see who we have next. We have Manjula Kanta.
Maharaj, there was a trilogy that came out a few years ago, a movie called The Matrix. And it talks about this concept of you actually being asleep and living your life in a dream. It's basically a way of, it's a concept that machines are using you for energy, and basically they keep you alive by giving you something to look forward to, and you dream your life away. And in the process, when a few of them rebel and wake up, these sleeping jivas, there's this very unique character in the story that says, that turns back on them, and they ask, why did you do that? And he says, well, I don't want to know that the world is so difficult. I just want to go back to sleep. So my deal with the devil is put me back to sleep, and I'll give you all these guys who woke up. And I'm reminded of the thought of that person many times, because when we take the Krishna consciousness, like you remind us, it's a daily battle. And if we don't inoculate and we don't do our sadhana properly, we become very vulnerable, along with our own samskars that keep dragging us down. The one good thing I felt, even though sometimes I feel like that guy, I'm like, oh, I give up, just put me back to sleep. Maybe it's better that way. And the beauty of it was that when you have guru and you have association, you can't go back to sleep either. You just have to hold on and find a way to stay strong and complete that journey. It's a beautiful relationship. And that's why I felt when I was reading, Srila Prabhupada says that it all starts with finding Guru. Because that one anchor can keep you sane through all the madness. I wanted to share that.
Yeah, it's a good point, because as Vaikuntha Nayaka Prabhu was asking here in a question, why does the jail we live in look so attractive? Why do we even feel like coming out of jail? Why do we not even feel like coming out? Why do we not have a strong will to come out of the jail? And it's Krishna's energy, so it's attractive. But once a devotee asked Prabhupada why Maya is so strong, and he said, it's not that Maya is so strong, it's that your will is weak, your motive is weak. And he said, so if you make your immune system very strong, then you don't fall sick. So similarly, we have to make our spiritual immune system very strong so that we don't fall victim to Maya. Because Maya is actually helping us by stress testing all the time. It's like, do you really want Krishna? Or do you want this? Do you want A or do you want B? And when our will is not strong, when our motive isn't strong because we don't have yoga balena, we haven't done our bhajan properly, then we can get anemic, and then we can fall victim to Maya. And bahunam janmanamante, after many, many births and deaths, if we're very fortunate and we get association with sadhu, when we meet a sadhu actually and we see like, wow, here's somebody really serious, and you feel something different than you've ever felt before, like, wow, I want to be like that. I want to be strong like that. And then when you feel that, then when those urges like, oh, maybe I'll just go back to sleep. Maybe Maya's not so bad after all. Hey, everyone's saying Maya's so bad, but it's not so bad. That's what people say when they, it's like, it's not that bad, okay? But bahunam jamanamante, when you get this combination of a little association with sadhu, so you have that impression that, yeah, there's something better. And then the memory of getting beat up so many times, getting tricked so many times and falling into it so many times. And then it's a feeling in the heart that, no, I don't want to do this anymore. But without the sadhu to say, like, yeah, here, come with me. This is the way to go. You can get out of this. It's really hard to pull out anyway, even if you know that it's suffering and then you don't want to stay in it. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Brahmanda Brahma te kun bhagyavan jeev Guru Krishna prasadi pai bhakti lata bij. He compared the guru to a vaidya, a doctor who's walking around with a bag that's got medicine in it for you. And he said, like, he's got some instructions in there, because you talk to a good doctor, right? Talk to you on the phone. It's like he'll ask you all kind of questions. Like, was it like this or like that? How long did you sleep? How do you feel now on a scale of 1 to 10? How much does it hurt? Go through all these questions and say, I know what you got. I know what your problem is. Okay, here's exactly what you take. You go get this prescription, not the other one. Don't listen to the other people. You take this one. This is the one you want. And then you're in good care. And then you take it. And then do you actually feel the strength from it? And then you're on the road to recovery. But as His Holiness Indra Maharaj said the other day, take the whole thing. The doctor tells you take 9 of them. You don't stop at 7 and say, hey, I'm good now. You keep taking it till it's all gone. Until it's... And Mahaprabhu, when he saw Sanatan Goswami, Sanatan had, his hair is all grown out. He looked like a Daravesh, like a hippie. And Mahaprabhu looked at him. He got shaved up, everything. He looked clean, like a Vaishnav. And then Mahaprabhu was still looking at him askance. See, this is a good disciple. Good disciple picks up on it. That, like, yeah, he kind of looked at me funny, like, and then so Sanatan thought, I got this expensive blanket from my brother-in-law. So he went down to the ghat and he traded it for this old quilt, old holy. I mean, it was a ratty quilt, and then he brought it back. And Mahaprabhu said he was pleased, unlimitedly pleased. And then he said, okay. A doctor doesn't let the disease even a little bit go in longer. Gets the whole thing. So yeah, we have to, just like waking up in the morning, it's not so easy unless you really practice at it. And I told you before, I have 2 alarm clocks. One of them's right by my head, and it's got I don't need it because the other one works so well. It's across the room. It's a light that comes on. it comes up gradually. The light starts very gradually, like a half an hour before I want to get up, and then gradually, and it's amazing how, way before the alarm goes beep beep beep, I actually just light's there, time to get up. So you have to stay in the light. Stay in the light of your bhajan and in the association of devotees, and it's much easier to wake up. That's my experience. Okay, Sundarananda is next.
Haribol Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you for the insightful points. I was just reflecting along the same lines that Manjula Kanta Mataji was talking about, like, how as spiritual practitioners, we are expected to run a tight ship or tighten all the loose ends and make sure that, there are no holes through which the Maya can seep in. And I was also connecting that to Rupa Goswami's verse, Nectar of Instruction, which talks about, Atyahara Priyascha, Prajalpanyamagraha, Janasangasha Laulyamcha, Shabdir Bhaktir Vinashyati. Then how we have to be careful on all these accounts to make sure that our Bhakti Kripa is protected.
Yeah. There's so much advice given out of goodwill. You see the heart of a Vaishnav. They want to leave behind something for the others, so that others can take the process, and they calculate it so that, okay, how will they be able to accept it? This is mentioned in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that there's a way that the Mahatkritena, the great souls, they devise a process so both they can go back to Godhead, and also those who want to follow them can go back to Godhead. It's like a boat. If you follow these great acharyas, and just take the process they gave, then Krishna blesses it. He'll accept that process. That's why we feel so confident. We get the advice from Rupa Goswami, it comes down through the disciplic succession, and then we get, okay, here's your quota. You do this. Follow it all. And we'll guarantee it. We'll take you back to Godhead. So yeah, that's really powerful. Thank you very much, Sundarananda Prabhu. Shambharupa Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Thank you so much for another inspiring lecture. Really appreciate. My one question was that you really mentioned very nicely how we are in a probation period, and this is our golden opportunity to rectify ourselves, to go back to our eternal home. But one thing that really bothers me is that this probation period runs very quickly. I really feel inspired to see the little sadhus in our congregation who are really taken up seriously early in their life. But unfortunately, not for me. It's more than half the life has already passed. So how to get serious about especially the urgency that time is ticking and it's actually passing very fast. Just in a blink of the eye, more than half of the life has gone and few more years are remaining. So how to get serious about it so that we can embrace the remaining opportunity very seriously.
Opportunities come by Krishna's grace. And if we apply ourselves as much as possible in the situation we're in now, then Krishna will open up more opportunities for us. And so take what we have now and apply it, because we may be in different situations. So in Bhagavatam, Krishna says, Swe Swe Adhikariya Nishta Saguna Parikirtita Vipariyatu Dosha Syad Eshara Eva Kinkara Eva Nishchaya, sorry. He said it's a fixed principle that you should do the best you can with what you have. And then you'll get more opportunity. So do your best every day, and always try to organize your life towards doing a better service and doing better sadhana. Always try to improve it a little bit. And then when you're doing that, then you'll get quantum advancement when more opportunity comes at different stages of life. Life happens in stages. And you'll probably notice that in different stages of your life, you think differently. You interact with the world differently. And the Varnashrama system also accounts for this. That, yeah, when you're a kid, you have a lot of energy, you're really smart, brain is quick, learn everything you can. Now you can get into Grihastha ashram and, you got a propensity anyway for interacting, having kids, things like that. Do it. Keep close to Krishna. Then you got Vanaprastha. You're starting the off-ramp a little bit, sort of detaching yourself by just doing more service together with your family. And then later on, either, there's by circumstance or by choice, then there's this way that really dramatic detachment where you're just exclusively focused and things like that. And, in the Varnashrama system, actually, you'll notice that every stage has its stages within it, including, like sannyas and vanaprastha. Sannyas starts with Kutichak, Bahudak, Parivrajacharya, and then Paramahamsa. It's not like just like, go, jump, you're here, now you're there. So the Kutichak lives in a little place near the house. And then the family brings by a couple of Italy's dosa, puts it through the door. You in there? You doing your bhajan? You need some prasadam? Here you go. It's like, thank you. Then there's this. Then later, he goes out and goes to the fields. There's so much left over. In fact, Jamuna and Todd, they used to go around Silicon Valley, not Silicon Valley, down, in the farm country. There's so much wasted in those farms. They just say, can we have the extra? With all those extra, they build a thriving business. So everybody knows in nature, there's just extra lying everywhere. It's like, instead of working, wasting my time, or waiting for somebody, I'll just be free to walk around. I'll take a little extra. Whatever there's extra, I'll take it. And that's it. I'll just live off of that. And then Parivrajacharya comes and you wander around and realize that Krishna is taking care of me everywhere I go. So I'm just going to talk about him. And then that's all I'm going to do. And Parivrajacharya just walk around. And anywhere he finds a sincere place, a sincere person just sits down and starts talking. And then a crowd comes around. And then they all go, can you stay here in our town? He's like, yeah, for 3 days. And then goes to the next place. And that leads to a life of a Paramahamsa. That preaching and going around depending on Krishna. And then later on, Krishna just fully manifests in the heart of the devotee. And he becomes overwhelmed in love of God and sort of has to sit down and do bhajan because he can't stop thinking of Krishna. And all that, that's the last stage of life. And the other stages too are there for a reason. You learn so much in the Grihastha ashram. You get so much opportunity to actually learn to cooperate, and all these values you learn in the Grihastha ashram is really valuable. So point is, learn your lesson wherever you are right now. The bhakti is so powerful. It doesn't mean, you have to go to the forest even. Grihe tako, bane tako, sadahari boli tako. Wherever you are, keep your bhajan going, and you're gonna come to the perfection of life. But I know how you feel. It gets over so fast, and we don't know also the condition and what we'll be in later, or even if we're young, anything can happen. So the urgency is always there too. For as soon as you understand that it's urgent, start pushing on that. Take advantage of that feeling of urgency to start, applying more pressure. If you feel it, make another arrangement. Like, okay, how can we incrementally increase our services and things like that together? And so it's a good feeling to have, and it's a sign of advancement actually, as it's one of the symptoms of bhava that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches to Sanatana Goswami. Avyarta kalatvam means, geez, I don't want to waste any more time. There's a moment of silence and you're like, come on, fill it up. I don't, that could be my last minute. So it's good you feel like that, actually. It's really good. Okay, now Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Last week you said something very important and I would like to repeat it. You said, get your bhajan on and do it every day and don't let anything get in the way. That was just a nice point that you made.
That sounds like a Bob Dylan song. Anyway, yeah, that's true. Get your bhajan on. And what's the second part? Do it every day.
And don't let anything get in the way.
And don't let anything get in the way. Yeah, that's a secret to success for sure. Get your bhajan on. Do it every day. Don't let anything get in the way. It's a secret to success. Because we can't survive without it. Okay, we got one on the board here. It says, it's from Madhavi. Hare Krishna, Madhavi. I was reminded in the discussion of not wanting to leave the jail of a story of Srila Bhakti Daita Mahadeva Maharaj told my Gurudev when he first met him of the ducks eating worms in the pond. The swans come and tell them, come and fly on our backs. We'll take you to a pond full of lotus flowers, but the ducks say, we'd rather eat our worms. Yes, and that kind of answers the question, where it goes to the topic of Vaikuntha Nayaka. Why does the jail we live in look so attractive? And we don't feel like coming out. So in normal jail, you have this sense of confinement. You see the bars and so forth. But here, there's a way in which everyone thinks I'm free, and they don't see the bars, and they forget about it. So when we become aware of the fact that we're conditioned, and we start to see the bars, that's a good situation to be in. Okay, let's see. We have Gandharvika Radha.
Just a quick point, Prabhu. I was just thinking how having this knowledge is the only solution, because once I was in very deep pain, and there was a pain medication that made me very hallucinated. And I was feeling like I'm losing my consciousness, and it was so fearful. And I thought, like, what if I wake up as a cat or a butterfly or a dog? And it was so scary. And I wanted to hold on to my consciousness and not go to sleep, which will help with my pain. But then I was just realizing, having this consciousness that, okay, even if I have to go unconscious, that this knowledge, I'm part and parcel of Krishna, like whatever we read in this purport, is our only solution, because we, as you said, we might go unconscious like any time in this material world. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, good reminder. And it's another reason that the devotees, I mean, when you have to take some medication for something, obviously it helps the body heal. But devotees in general, they're very wary about different kinds of medications that alter the consciousness, because then they feel like out of touch with that power of austerity and tapasya and everything like that. And devotees actually get this feeling of happiness of being able to self-direct and take advantage of the words that Krishna say. And when you feel that kind of slip away, then it becomes scary. That's a good feeling to have. Thank you. Tadiya Seva.
Thank you, Maharaj, for giving me the opportunity. My question is related to association with relatives and friends who are not devotees. Before coming to Krishna consciousness, we have family and we have friends. We spent a lot, especially me, I spent a lot of time with my relatives and friends. But when, I didn't know anything about devotional service at that time. So when I became a devotee, I think it was late. At the age of 23, I met devotees. And then I could understand the difference between a materialistic association and a devotee association. But the hard problem for me was, I'm not in the association of devotees all the time. I have to go and see my family. I have to go and see, I encounter my relatives once in a while. Similarly, my friends also, the old friends, when I have to encounter them once in a while. So how do you deal with them? If they could see the difference, in my attitude, towards them. So they feel that, he's not anymore friendly with us. That kind of attitude, I really don't know how to deal with them, especially when it comes to relatives. And so most of them are meat eaters. I come from a meat eating family. So most of them are meat eaters, always doing grame katha and prajalpa. I feel like a fish out of water with them. So can you please enlighten me?
Just tell everyone, let's read Chaitanya Charitamrita now, and then they'll leave you alone. Say, we got to go. These situations are there always because we're in this situation. We come in with a certain family, and it's part of the attachment we have to the material world. Fortunately, over time, things change, especially if you stick to devotional service, and you can be merciful to your relatives and friends. When you go there, try to give a nice prasadam. You can't tell them anything generally until they ask you. And it's like, why are you so nice? Why are you so blissful? What are you doing every morning in there? How come you're doing this chanting? You go on with your bhajan because get your bhajan on, do it every day, and don't let anything get in your way. But if you're around your relatives and you're kind of nice to them, and sometimes you have to tolerate because they're going to be doing stuff that seems like so yesteryear for you. But if you're there in the presence of them, some of them are going to pick up on it and appreciate it, and you'll see it later on in your life. As far as you go, there's no harm because you got your bhajan going on. You just have to tolerate these things. And then later on, there'll be an opportunity. I know for a while, it looked like I was still engaging. Nirkula kind of kept things going with my family, made it look like I was into it. Like in Christmas in America, you're supposed to give presents and stuff like that. And I was like, I ain't doing that. I don't want to go shopping. I don't want to think about it. I don't have time. And she would go out and do everything, put my name on it. And I was like, oh, how nice. I was like, what'd you give them? And, and then gradually things change over time. And you get your opportunity. You got to keep your bhajan going, and through all the different phases of life, you'll see like, oh, this is like this is like that. Now I'm a kid. This is what I have to do. Now I'm an adult. This is what I have to do. Now I'm getting older. So stay in preparation mode, and then when there's a jailbreak, you be ready to jump out. When you see everyone else breaking out, and they like the prison just got smashed in, it's like, okay, come out, like, okay, run, get out of here. So until you can actually find a hole in the prison, you stay in there and be merciful and try to help other people. And Krishna will get you. He'll come and get you. He'll bring a helicopter down, spring you out of there. Malini.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances to you. Prabhu, I just wanted to, I had 2 points. One is that though Tadya Seva Prabhu is saying that he has to engage with his friends and relatives, every Saturday on the calling party, he calls all of them, and he has been distributing so many Bhagavatam sets to his school friend when he was studying in engineering, his 10th class classmate, his brother-in-law, like he keeps distributing Bhagavatam sets to everybody. And my Prabhu, I liked all the points in your class today. One point that I really liked was that our body is a hot mic situation, and everything is recorded. And in that instance, you mentioned that we should not be afraid of that, and then we should try to clear everything in this lifetime. Can you please elaborate a little more on that, how we can apply that and how we can clear ourselves more?
Well, I'll tell you a story about a god sister of mine who was a Sankirtan devotee, like you, who became very famous for Sankirtan. Her name was Labangalatika. She was with the early pioneers. I interviewed her for my book. She's in the book. And yeah, she got trained up early doing back to guided magazines in Los Angeles. And she became a great hero, Sankirtan devotee. She used to go with the early devotees to the LAX airport before it was legal. You know, we had to legally open up the airport, and then we kept it open for decades. Actually, it was part of our overhead, just paying for the legal case, but it was worth it because we distributed millions of books in the airports. We had an attorney named Barry Fisher. He was fantastic. And also Amarendra Prabhu worked on it. He studied First Amendment law. There's a point to this. I'll get to it. So anyway, the LAX airport, Labangalatika, before it was legal, I got to tell you how it became legal. The devotees sent Bhuvaneshwar Prabhu. He's the cook in Vrindavan. He's very curmudgeon-y, and you know, he wasn't like a huge book distributor, so they said they'll sacrifice him, so they sent him out. They said, "You go out and get arrested." Barry Fisher said, our attorney said, "We need somebody to get arrested so we can start the court case against him." So Bhuvaneshwar went out there, and he kept walking back and forth in front of the policeman trying to distribute books, and he said, "I couldn't even get arrested." He said, "I can't distribute books. I couldn't even get arrested. It took me 2 weeks to get arrested. Everyone else got arrested, in 2 days they were out there." He's funny. So anyway, she was going out in the early days when devotees were going undercover. They'd sneak around the airport, sell books, but the police would chase them down, and it was serious business. They would arrest her, as they would the other devotees when they caught them. And she said she hated it. She hated being apprehended. And they tried to humiliate her. They put handcuffs on her and they drag her through the airport. And she told me in an interview I had with her, she passed away, but so did a lot of people after I interviewed them. So if I call you for an interview, don't take it. She told me that once she was taken to the police station, and she was overwhelmed with just dread and feeling just helpless, and they handcuffed her to the bench in the booking office, and it's in public, people walking by. It's very humiliating, especially for her, because she's a high class person. And so as she was sitting there, and she was at the height of this dread and humility, a wave of realization came through her whole mental system. And this was her realization. She said, "In that moment, I realized the verse from the Brahma Samhita, Karmani nirodahati kintucha bhakti bhajam." In this verse says, when you're doing but Krishna's service, Krishna's taking away your karma. And then she had this vision that actually, because of my past activities, I was meant to be apprehended by Yamaraj. I would have been grabbed and pulled down to the hellish planets and tortured for what I've done to other living entities for many, many lifetimes. And then she said she felt purified. When she had that vision, it came through her mental system, she realized, this is just a token. I'm doing Krishna's service. I'm not out here to make money or anything like that. I'm just doing it for Krishna. And he's taking away my karma by doing this for me. So, when you do direct service throughout your whole life, just use up your life in Krishna's service on the field, run out the clock. Serve the pure devotee and run out the clock doing that, and you've got nothing to regret. We've seen it with so many God brothers and God sisters that were completely lucid and fixed when they left the world, because they were just serving. There was nothing to take away, really. Death comes to take away, and said, person's already gone. They've gone back to Godhead. So you're in the right situation, to say the least. You've got everything going on, and we're really fortunate. We've got this little enclave, the enclave on earth right now of Lord Chaitanya's movement that came right after Srila Prabhupada. And then we have our group, and we're tight. We stick together, and we just keep encouraging each other. And what else can you do? What else can you do? You're doing everything. You just keep doing it, and do service, and chant, and do all the stuff that you can do now, because at some point it's going to be like, oh, I wish I did more. So it's like misers, when I wish I had invested in that stock when it was down. What was I thinking in 2008? So buy now. Buy Krishna stock now. Buy bhajan stock now. Invest now. Be smart. And, when that time comes, when the bell rings, ding, 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 Dow Jones is closed, you're going to be a billionaire. You already are. But just keep investing. Uh-oh. That cleared the board. Let me just check the other one. Manjula Kanta had a realization about taking medicine. Finish the pack. Take it all. Don't stop halfway. When taking medicine, we should just finish the whole course if the disease is to be eradicated. Similarly, in Krishna consciousness, we should not stop halfway thinking, I'm better, so I must be okay. The disease will reappear. So stay steady and follow the process to the end to completely be free of Maya. Yeah, and with the devotees too. Love the devotees, because we're not all going to be here. It happens so fast. We take it for granted. Everyone's here. It's all going to be always going to be like this. So when you feel something for the devotees, express your love, give the gift, do it now. Don't wait. Because this is your life right now. It's happening right this second. So go for it, and don't put it off. Okay, buy Krishna stock now. Okay, two last points. We have Ashraya Madhava Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, I was just thinking that when we do our chanting in the morning and we do deity worship, at that time we feel heavenly. And then we have to go into this, this routine work. And that is a different taste. We are getting a different taste at that time. Now, throughout the time you are working, you are, working with all the mundane people in your office and all, it's all cats and dogs. You don't have that taste anymore. And at times you get frustrated that what exactly I'm doing, any outcome out of this, nothing I'm going to take with me when I die, right? So I'm completely, sweating it out just for nothing, basically, throughout that 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours, whatever he wants us to do. And by the time the day has ended, you are so exhausted that, I did all that for nothing, basically, and in the morning, there was no pressure and I enjoyed it, right? And so I just compare that, and a person can feel it, basically. You can feel it when you do those things in the morning. Krishna is not putting any pressure on you and you're doing it. But throughout the day, when you're always under pressure on doing something which doesn't have any meaning, basically. I mean, at the end of the day, when you die, you are not going to take any of that with you. So how to get out of this taste thing, basically, right?
You should write a Bengali bhajan about that.
I don't know, Maharaj.
This bhajan will go like, I work all day long. They put me under so much pressure. It's all for nothing. And I work 12 hours a day until I come home and I'm doing my bhajan. And then I feel, okay, I'm in the spiritual world. Why am I here, Krishna? Why am I working so hard? You write a bhajan like that. A little poem. It'll help you.
I will try
It's
my
not a
best.
bad thing when you're, this is our little medicine pill to take in this lifetime. And it's good because, we can't just run off and do bhajan all day. People all the time, they say, I'm going to move to Mayapur. Just, if you don't have seva there, good luck. I'm going to go to Vrindavan. Good luck. You need some seva, sir. We're lucky. We have seva, and also many of us still have work we have to do. So your work's not bad. You have to work. And it just happens you have to pay high rent because you live in Silicon Valley. But there's a reason you're doing it, because you want in on the biggest project on the planet, right here in Silicon Valley. You want to go to the distance and build it up and do something beautiful. And God bless you for staying here and just, digging in and doing it. And it's not averse to devotional service to be in that situation, because you're realizing this is like, I don't want to be here. That's okay. That's good for you. And then when you get your chance, you're still young. You get a little bit more, you'll be so mature from your doing your bhajan along with your work, and then you're sure. And then you're going to be telling all the young people, like, just keep doing your thing. And this, all the material world, I've been through it. It's not for you. It's not for any of us. So you're getting on both sides. Vidyam chayas tadvedo bayam saha. The process is perfect, and you're going to come out fine. You already are fine, but you're going to get better. Okay, Nirkula. Uh-oh. We can't hear you on mute.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you can hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Hare Krishna, pranams. I just have to chime in a little bit, if you don't mind, on what you were talking about earlier about, when we were still having a lot to do with your family.
Yeah.
And yes, it's true. I did go and I did buy the Christmas presents and things like that. That's, that was no big deal. But, just like you always say, leave everybody with a good impression. That's how you were with your family as well. Like when Prabhupada mentions about, when someone has a lover, a wife has a lover, and she does her duties at home very, very diligently so that no one suspects. You were like that with your family. You showed them attention, you showed them affection, you listened to their stories, and you left everybody with a good impression. You were affectionate. And so, but you were detached at the same time. So I just didn't want the devotees to get the idea of anything else, because they know who you are as a person, what a loving heart you have. And you were that way with your family as well. And in the end, your dad chanted, your mom took initiation, and it was just by you being who you are. You didn't do anything different. You didn't preach. You just were who you are. And that made all the difference. That's all. I just
and
couldn't
now you all know how I can keep going, even though I'm such a slow. Thanks, Nicola.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, let's see. We got Srivatsa.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare
Hi.
Krishna, Srivatsa. Good to see you.
Thank you, Maharaj. I was thinking about I'm like a very big overthinker, especially when it comes to my spiritual life. And I was thinking about like if I as like every time I invest like in bhajan stock, and I want to know that I'm making progress and know like, okay, am I like still on track right now? Am I deviating right now? What's happening? And like last summer I read Madhurya Kadambini, and it allowed me to like really like get a good sense of as to like how like how the path of devotional service goes. And I realized not only that I was like, okay, I am like on the path right now and I could relate to a lot of things, but once I started getting past where I was at, I was like, whoa, this is way beyond me. I'm nowhere close to this. And I was thinking about it, Guru Maharaj, because I know that if I want to stay active in Krishna consciousness, stay enthusiastic, I need to have that very strong sense of motivation, and I need to know that, okay, like I can do this. And a lot of that comes from knowing that I am making progress. And I was just wondering, is me expecting progress out of my spiritual practices, or in a sense that like now, okay, I'm doing something, I'm being I'm chanting my rounds better now, I'm being more strict with my sadhana. Now I should get this, or I try to like be a little bit too systematic with it. Is that like, I know Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he talks about anarthas that are arising from pious activity. Is that another anartha, or am I like, because I'm trying to keep myself motivated, but at the same time I don't want to be some obsessive person who's just like overthinking about every small like little itty bitty detail.
Well, anyway, that's how you think, and it's good. There's a lot of application for that. You're very sensitive, and you're very self-analytical too. So that'll fit in somewhere nicely throughout your life. And as far as the higher levels of bhajan go, these descend to us. This is not something you can reach up and grab. Sometimes people think, well, I'll just do a more advanced kind of sadhana now, like I'll start hearing different things and stuff like that. You can try it. It's not what the very advanced acharyas recommend. You're doing what they recommend. Where'd you go? Are you still there? Oh, I couldn't see him for a sec.
Yes, Guru.
So, the descent of grace coming from Krishna, as is described by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, how the mood, the higher levels of taste and affection for Krishna, in Chaitanya Charitamrita described as a sun ray of the internal potency, touches the heart and melts the heart at a certain point. And this comes as a very personal thing. Krishna descends in our lives. So I just read last night, about Prabhupada's instruction. Just be steady in your practice. And in due course of time, you'll ripen. And it happens by Krishna's mercy. It's not something you can predict or do. And in the beginning, it's natural that you're going to feel like, yeah, I want to get something out of this. Like, I know a godbrother who was telling me, thinking back to his early days, he had been doing everything right, got up early, this, that, and he was saying, he went through the day, and then, he just found himself at the end of the day, something went wrong, and he was just thinking, all that, and and it's still, my life still gets messed up. And it's a tendency to think like that. But yam krodha kama sahaja pranayadi piti vatsalya moha guru gaurava sevya bhava santintitasya sadrisham tarama apurete govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. Any kind of way that you're attached to Krishna, any emotion, yam krodha kama, you may be angry, or krodha kama, lusty, or natural friendly love, or fear even, for Krishna. If all these emotions, Shastra is saying, some way or another become attached. And in the beginning, if you could, if you're motivated in the Vaidhi stage, that's not bad. It's like, yes, I want to be, good. I want to hit my numbers. Fine, stay with that. Just stay in the game, stay steady, and keep doing it. The other part, Krishna will bestow upon you. Atashi Krishna namadi nabhaved grayam indriye sevan mukhi jevato swayameva spuratyada. Spurati means that Krishna appears to you when he wants to. And he will. There's no doubt about it. But it's a matter of time, so be really patient. But it's good to have that sort of feeling that, yeah, I want to move forward. So keep doing it. Prabhu, your turn.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
A while back, I heard a nice class by Giriraj Swami, and he mentioned that he went to ISV and he met a devotee called Malini, and she was completely mad about distributing Sri Prabhupada's books. That's what he said in the class.
Yeah. And that's words out. So that's a good reputation to have. And yeah, that's good too. If devotees notice that you're doing service, you get kind of like there's an indelible stamp in this lifetime that, yeah, you were there. You participated in Lord Chaitanya's movement. And as Mahaprabhu, as is mentioned in the story at the end of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gopinath Patanyayaka, and all that stuff where he got arrested, thrown on the chunga. He was stealing money from the government. And he got in a kerfuffle with the prince. The prince wanted to get the money from him. He said, I got these horses. You take my horses. They're fine horses he had. Gopinath Patanyayaka. He was a great devotee. And the prince said, he gave him a lowball price. He said, I'll give you this much for him. And Gopinath said to the prince, he said, because the prince had this tick in his neck, it kept going like this. He couldn't stop it. Natural tick. Gopinath said to him, yeah, my horses are worth a lot more than that because they don't go like this. And the prince became incensed. So he took Gopinath, he put him on the chunga. And that's a sword sticking up from the ground. It's big, a bamboo thing. And, at some point they'll push you off onto the swords. He wanted to scare him and the money. People came to Mahaprabhu. He said, don't tell me about it. I'm a sannyasi. I don't want all this stuff, all these people causing me grief. And then somebody went to the king, Prataparuja, said, your son put Gopinath Patanyayaka, one of Lord Chaitanya's great devotees, on chunga. He said, I didn't tell him to do that. I just said, get the money back somehow or other. So then the king absolved him of the debt, actually doubled his income, gave him a higher status in the government. And it all came out okay. And in the end, Kaviraj Goswami says, see, Mahaprabhu didn't get involved, but his mercy is automatic. His mercy is automatic. Got to be in the right place at the right time. Just stay with Mahaprabhu, because there's nobody better than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nobody. And if you stick with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his movement, look what he does. He sends people out on the street to go chanting. That's outrageous. There's no better show in town than that. All the other things are boring and stupid. People playing baseball, throwing a ball around, and getting all excited and paying people millions of dollars to do it. That's stupid. And everything's stupid here in the material world, except for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's program, which is go out and chant Hare Krishna. There's an ocean of philosophy behind it by the best philosophers who ever lived. This is a far out movement. And if you can just get in it somehow or other, say, yes, sign me up, put me in somewhere in this game, and I want to be part of it, then you'll be remembered that you were part of it. Krishna will take you. Okay, that's it. We cleared the board yet again. We'll just have a short kirtan and then we'll take rest because it's getting really late. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Krishna Preshtaya Bass clarinet is back. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Harinam Sankirtan ki, Shri Harinam Mahamantra ki, Shriman Mahaprabhu ki, Go Premanande, Nitai Goda Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Goda Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pri Rajakacharya Stotaras Shishi Mad Pai Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pri Rajakacharya Stotaras Shishi Mad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Anant Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Zagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopina Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Sama All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Haribo. Namaste Nanash. Pralalada Dadayane. Hiranyakashipur Vakshaha. Hiranyakashipur Vakshaha. Shilatanka Nakalaye. Shilatanka Nakalaye. Yato Nrishingha Parato Nrishingho. Yato Nrishingha Parato Nrishingho. Yato Yami Tato Nrishingha. Yato Yami Tato Nrishingha. Bahirnishingho Hridaye Nrishingho. Bahirnishingho Hridaye Nrishingho. Nrishinghamanim Sharanam Prapadye. Nrishinghamanim Sharanam Prapadye. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Namaste Jase Avirabhava Vajradaka Vajradamshra Karmashaya Randaya Randaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Swaha Abhayam Abhayam Admani Bhuishta Om Shrao Vagisha Yasya Varane Lakshmir Yasya Chavakshasi Yasya Ste Hridaye Samvit Tam Nrishingam Maham Bhaje Prahlada Hridayaladam Bhaktya Vidya Vidaranam Shadarindur Bande Karindra Vadanam Harim Shri Nrsinga Jai Nrsinga Jai Jai Nrsinga Prahlada Desha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Mringa Yadi dasyasi me kaman varam svam varadarshapa kamanam hridayasroham bhavatastu hridevaram. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Purushaya Mahatmane Hare Bhuta Sinhaya Ramane Paramatmane Ugro Kyanugravayam Svabhaktanam Rakeshari Keshari Vasapotana Anyesham Ugra Vikramaha Avakara Kamala Varena Kamaduta Shingam Litairanya Kashi Putarubingam Keshavadrita Nadahari Rupa Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Kamala Hare Jaya Kar Kamalavare Nakamaduta Shriya Kalitairannakashi Bhutanu Bringyam Keshapadrita Manahare Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha guess what? This is Sadhu Sangha.
Hey, though.
Who's on next? Do you have an amplifier on that bass, Ekachakra, Prabhu?
Yes.
Let's hear a little something.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Haribo! Who else has an instrument? Where's that bass clarinet? Come on, give us one riff. That was beautiful. Bravo, bravo. I'll play it again, and Ekachakra Pran will, I don't know if it'll sync, but he'll just play a bass line to it as you play. Do the same riff again. It may not. Okay, now turn your mic off, Sadhu, and Ekachakra Pran. Can you do a riff like that? Or any other, just one more. Bravo! Anybody else? Any talents? Juggling? Okay. That was really beautiful. Thank you very much, both Ekachakra Pran and Sadhu Vrindavan. Thanks everybody else. I just remembered this is the weekend, right? We're usually at Sadhu Sangha. I said Sadhu Sangha, not Sadhu Vrindavan. Well, thanks everybody. I hope you have a good weekend. You all have the day off, I hope. Yeah? Okay. Well, we'll see you on the marg. We're all going parikram tomorrow. We're leaving a little after Mangalartik. We're going to circumambulate, go over downhill. We'll have 5 hours of bhajan and Bhagavatam. Okay? Say okay, Manjula Kanta. Hare Krishna. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, dear Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Lakshmi Nrsingadev, if you so desire. Please empower us to always stay in your service, always keep the bhajan going every day. Please please help us get our bhajan on and do it every day, and don't let anything get in our way. Thank you very much for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone who agrees with this prayer in part or say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.